this unbelievable ad against her opponent, longtime politician Tom Campbell. Watch this. Be very afraid. Be very afraid.
Tom Campbell. Is he what he tells us? Or is he what he's become over the years? A FCINO, fiscal conservative in name only. A wolf in sheep's clothing. A man who literally helped put the state of California on the path to bankruptcy and higher taxes. Fiscal conservative? Or just another same old tale of tax and spend, authored by a career politician who helped guide us into this fiscal mess in the first place?
All right, there you have it, the evil sheep. Coming up, we're going to walk you through President Obama's war on business and capital. But I want to talk to my pal just for 1 second. Here is Dan Mitchell of the Cato Institute. Where is Dan? Is he up there? Put him on the screen. All right, Dan, I love this Carly Fiorina ad, and I love the fact that that we sworn in the new senator from Massachusetts, Scott Brown. Dan, is it possible that the tide is now turning away from the tax and spend policies, which I believe have really damaged the stock market just this year?
I think there's no question there's a backlash among the American people. The average taxpayer does not like this notion of the government making everybody into a dependent or a ward of the state. Now, the question is, can we trust the politicians that are now mouthing this fiscal conservative rhetoric? And clearly, in California, we're seeing that be part of the ads.
Boy, I loved it. Did you see The Evil Sheep?
Yes, I did.
What do you think of The Evil Sheep?
I got it like 3 or 4 times. People emailed it to me last night, so clearly it's generating internet buzz if nothing else.
All right, we're going to come back and talk to Dan Mitchell. On a nightly basis, I have been decrying the proliferation of higher taxes on investors, on capital formation, and lately on multinational corporations based in America. I regard it as anti-growth and anti-stock market, and I regret to say that the decline in the stock market may be bearing me out. So let me talk to Dan Mitchell of the Cato Institute, who is an old friend. Dan, today, for example, as though it wasn't bad enough, Treasury man Tim Geithner launches this attack on hedge funds. They want to raise the tax rate on hedge funds and all partnerships, by the way, all private partnerships, including venture capital. The bank tax hike may have triggered the stock market decline, the most recent one on the taxes for foreign earnings of American corporations. Dan, what is going on down there? Because you know what? Even in Keynesian terms, you're not supposed to raise taxes if you're worried about a depression or a continued recession. This is insanity.
Well, remember our friend Steve Moore wrote that column, Atlas Shrugged, From Fiction to Fact in 50 years or whatever it was? I really think there's almost that mentality in Washington where the politicians seem to think it doesn't matter how much you raise taxes on entrepreneurship, how much you raise taxes on saving and investment. They seem to think that people are going to go on working and toiling, even if it's for the government rather than for themselves and their families, for their shareholders and their investors. And I do worry that as we sort of gravitate down this path, we're going to have like a permanent anchor on the U.S. economy.
Let me ask you 2 quick questions, Dan. We don't have a lot of time. Sorry about that. But what about a Republican coalition with moderate Democrats to extend the Bush tax cuts on capital gains, dividends, and successful earners? These are the people most likely to invest in recovery. Is such a coalition possible, Dan?
Well, I think it's unlikely that you'll get enough Democrats, although with the political tide turning against them and a lot of them being scared about keeping their seats in 2010, I suppose anything's possible. But you know what? That would have to require Obama's signature because there's no way there's 2/3 vote in the Democratic-dominated House and Senate to push through pro-growth tax policy.
War. Last question, 30 seconds. Let's go to war. Can the Republicans and whoever, moderate Democrats, stop the proliferation of tax hikes? Can they just knock them down now? They got Scott Brown in there. Can they call for cloture votes on all this stuff and just stop the tax madness?
I think there's no doubt that we can stop the additional taxes from going through that Obama's proposing, but the tax cuts that are expiring at the end of this year, that I'm worried about. So I do think investors and entrepreneurs are going to get hit by more taxes from Washington.
All right. Well, I think stocks are starting to pick up this threat. Dan Mitchell from Cato, thank you ever so much.